This is Audible.
This publication contains the opinions and ideas of its author. It is intended to provide helpful and informative material on the subject addressed. It is sold with the understanding that the author and publisher are not engaged in rendering medical, health, or any kind of personal or professional services in the book. Readers should consult their own medical, health, or other professional before adopting any of the suggestions in this book or drawing inferences from it. Simon & Schuster Audio presents Sociopath, a Memoir, by Patric Gagne, Ph.D., read by the author.
For David. Every saint has a past and every sinner has a future. Oscar Wilde. The story you're about to hear is true. Though I did my best to present the information as accurately as I remember it, some timelines have been condensed, some dialogue has been reconstructed, and some characters have been presented as composites. Certain names, dates, and details have been changed to protect the identities of the innocent and the not-so-innocent. Introduction. My name is Patric Gagne, and I am a sociopath. I am a passionate mother and wife. I am an engaging therapist. I am extremely charming and well-liked. I have lots of friends. I am a member of a country club. I throw parties for every occasion you can imagine. I live in a nice house. I'm a writer. I like to cook. I vote. I make people laugh. I have a dog and a cat, and I wait in carpool lines next to other women with dogs and cats. On the surface, I resemble almost every other average American woman. Social media confirms my existence as a happy mommy and loving partner whose posts are borderline narcissistic. Your friends would probably describe me as nice, but guess what? I can't stand your friends. I am a liar. I'm a thief. I am emotionally shallow. I am mostly immune to remorse and guilt. I am highly manipulative. I don't care what other people think. I'm not interested in morals. I am not interested, period. Rules do not factor into my decision-making, and I am capable of almost anything. Sound familiar? If you picked up this audiobook, I'm willing to bet it might. You too could be one of the estimated 15 million people in America believed to be sociopaths. Or you could know one of the millions more whose personalities are thought to reside on the sociopathic spectrum. And we're not talking strictly criminals here. Doctors, lawyers, teachers, mail carriers. Sociopaths are hiding everywhere, in plain sight. All you have to do is start looking. The looking started early for me. As a child, while the other kids in my neighborhood were riding bikes and having playdates with friends, I was reading mysteries, true crime mostly. I was fascinated by the darkness in people. What is it that makes them evil? What is it that makes them capable? I was desperate to know. So when I stumbled across the word sociopath, I thought I had my answer. I'd heard the term before, but what did it mean? What exactly is a sociopath? I assumed the dictionary would tell me. Yet, when I reached for my battered, yellowing 1980 Funk and Wagnalls copy, I discovered the word wasn't there. Thinking it was a mistake, I went into my mother's office and opened another dictionary. Hers was a newer edition. Sociopath was sure to be in there, except it wasn't. I saw the place where it should have been, right between sociology and soc. But the word was missing. It was as if it didn't exist. But I knew better. I had read it in books. I had seen it on the news. I had heard it at school. I had written it in my journal. I knew the definition of sociopath was out there somewhere. I just had to find it. In retrospect, it all makes sense. As a doctor of psychology, I can't help but marvel at the cunning genius of the subconscious mind. Why we're drawn to certain subjects and indifferent toward others. According to Freud, nothing happens by accident. But you don't need a PhD to know why I chose this field. You don't have to understand Freud to grasp the connection. You don't have to believe in fate to see my path could never have led anywhere else. The red flags were there from the beginning. I knew as early as 7 that something was off. I just didn't care about things the way other kids did. Certain emotions like happiness and anger came naturally, if somewhat sporadically, but social emotions, things like guilt, empathy, remorse, and even love, did not. Most of the time I felt nothing, so I